Also, having a company or an account in an offshore zone, you can buy shares of foreign companies. Why do states need this if they do not? Do they take money from company as tax? There are plenty of ways to use an offshore, and you can work with them right through the offshore zone. Tax savings, the chance to work with your preferred countries globally, and the security of your assets, these are all synonyms for offshore zones. In this video, I'll explain offshore companies, their benefits, and starting work in a unique jurisdiction. I'll also give examples of businesses that are successfully developing in offshore jurisdictions and the most popular financial schemes conducted through such jurisdictions. What is an offshore and why is it necessary? Imagine you are a state and you want to have a large amount of business that generates revenue and fills up your budget. One way is to develop our own enterprises, subsidize local companies, build our own industry, but you can't compete with global giants like the USA or the EU anymore, and we need money, we want a budget. So you are a small nation, perhaps a cluster of islands, but you desire your citizens to have a good quality of life. So then you make a decision. Your goal is to attract international business, prominent players, and small entrepreneurs who will work for you and make valuable contributions to your success. But how do you encourage entrepreneurs from all over the world to come specifically to you? The answer is simple. Create such conditions for them so that Google itself decides to legally relocate from America to another country. And specifically to completely abolish all taxes, guarantee the company's security so that there are no inspections and banks don't ask where the money comes from. For smooth business operations, offshore zones emerged, currently around 100 in total worldwide. If you're registered with them but working in the international market instead of the local one, they will not charge you any taxes and will not really care about what you're doing there. Why do states need this if they do not? Do they take money from company as taxes? There is a fee, of course, but it covers the company registration and then an annual contribution. But that's it. You definitely know how much you'll pay, whether you have 1 million turnovers a year or 1 billion. So the main traditional advantage of offshore zones is the absence of taxes. What else? In the current situation with sanctions, offshore accounts can help protect assets, not just money, but also intellectual property, for example. If not discussing goods, but services, then implementing such a scenario is even easier. You send an invoice for offshore zones and receive money there. No taxes, all your profit. This is particularly relevant for the information technology sector. On one hand, everything always revolved around contractors, subcontractors, and other related parties, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, all European and American IT companies are still looking for contractors, even for sensitive data, because they want to save money. And you can work with them right through an offshore zone. Besides, not all countries allow activities like online casinos or cryptocurrencies. And through countries, regions, offshore zones, you can register such companies and conduct all necessary operations there. I get that there are plenty of benefits from offshore zones, but how do they actually work in practice? Now I'm going to provide you with information about the most common cases of tax savings and the importance of keeping your money in offshore accounts. The most popular solution is trading. To do that, first connect the deals of 3 participants: the seller, the middleman, and the buyer. The seller will be located in the country where the owner, entrepreneur, director resides permanently, and the intermediary is an offshore company. The middleman buys a specific product from the seller at a knowingly low price. Sometimes the price is even too low, and you need to be careful here. Tax authorities can investigate such questionable deals for their reality and profitability. So selling 10 machines for 1 ruble won't work. Let's continue. The offshore intermediary sells the purchased goods at market value, which is now 500,000 rubles, not 100,000. In the end, taxes are paid on the first 100k rubles, and the difference of 400k rubles settles in an offshore account. By utilizing offshore accounts, you can save on either tax payments or customs duties. This method is suitable not only for large raw material companies, which all appear offshore, but also for regular businesses. Here is an additional approach to utilize offshore zones in order to reap benefits for your business. Anyway, when dealing with offshore areas, first and foremost, reach out to ICE Tuning Group experts for company registration services. because we know all the ins and outs of the legal process and will find you the most optimal offshore zone. And secondly, it would be advantageous to hire a qualified accountant who can provide assistance in properly preparing all tax and other documents. Now let's talk about which offshore zones are better to use. Honestly, I gotta say, I have some favorites here. It's the Seychelles and the Virgin Islands. Through Seychelles Islands, it'll be easy to enter the growing, developing and promising market of Africa, and Virgin Islands are even an overseas territory of Great Britain, which gives you opportunity to conduct a respectable business with England, Europe and other first world countries. It's also worth considering those regions that are not offshore in the classical sense, but are seen as low-tax jurisdictions, but in fact are tax-free. This is Hong Kong and Cyprus. Hong Kong is an administrative region of China and your gateway to both Asia and Europe. Because on one hand, Hong Kong is closely connected to China and other countries in the region, and on the other hand, it is a global financial and economic center. Here are the top companies in the world. According to the central bank's data, businessmen have recently withdrawn about $1 trillion from offshore accounts, which indicates that a lot of entrepreneurs are using the offshore scheme. To initiate savings and capital preservation in offshore areas, get in touch with West Union Group. We've worked with various jurisdictions for over 20 years, assisting individuals in opening companies and accounts globally. I'm Asim Kasimzada, the head of the company registration department at West Uni Group of Companies. For any questions, comment below this video.